All right, it's 8 in the morning on this November 1st for the Lee County UTV Committee. Going to do roll call.
Jack Scrogstad.
Here.
Tom Wilson.
Here.
Danielle Allen.
Here.
Casey Considine.
Here.
Keen Hudson.
Here. All right, first thing. First thing, we approve the minutes. Has anyone had a chance to look at them? Any corrections that need to be made? All right, they'll be approved. And so we're going to go to visitors. We have a gentleman in the audience. Sir, your name? You're going to, what's that?
John Thompson.
John Thompson. Okay, John, if you want to speak, you got about 5 minutes if you want
Okay, it shouldn't take me that long.
to. Okay.
My name's John Thompson. I live in Dixon off of Lowell Park Road. I've been to a few of these meetings and read them on YouTube or watched them on YouTube. There's been quite a controversy about Lowell Park Road. I think it would be a shame not to include Lowell Park Road in this UTV because of it's only approximately 3 miles long. The speed limit's been reduced from 55 to 45 in most of it. We have a great thing for the Lee County tourism, which is Lowell Park. And it just would make it so convenient for people to go to Lowell Park for one. But also, I read in the newspaper about 5 years ago, the Black Hawk Trail Riders came to the county and the city and everybody, and they want to connect other trails, other counties to the trail. And if you shut down Lowell Park Road, that's a perfect trip into Ogle County, which would go up to Stevens, and it just keeps going. And I just think it would be a loss to shut that 3 mile stretch down. If there's a problem, if you pass it and there is a problem with it, then reconsider shutting it down. But it's a nice way to get to and from. I enjoy it because I just hop on it and I can get to Dairy Queen, County Market, and the rest of town. So if somebody else wants to use up the rest of my time, let them. But thank you.
Thank you.
Thank
Thank you, John. That one is board member John Nicholson. Do you have anything?
No, I'm just here to listen.
Just here to listen. Okay.
I concur with him.
All right, let's continue on. I don't see any other visitors here to this early morning. Old business is, I guess, new business, and that's to discuss this UTV ordinance. What we're going to do today is we're going to dive into the draft of the ordinance that we have right now, and let's make some changes on that in the form of motions. Charlie, are you on yet?
Yeah, I'm here.
All right, Charlie, what would be the procedure like? Let's say that I want to say tentatively agree on a particular thing. So let's say if we just tentatively agree on that, would that be a proper way of saying this? Like paragraph C, that we tentatively agree on that, or we have to throw a motion out there to agree on that one?
I don't think you need to have a motion out there. I think all you need to do is, as you're going through, like, we'll just say section 1 recitals, section 2 general. If you go through, let anybody have the option to open it up to a motion. If nobody's making a motion on it, just keep going.
Okay, all right. And that's, we'll kind of do that. All right, so we're going to kind of start at the top and work our way down. And everyone has a copy of that ordinance in front of you. And so the first page, whereas it has all this stuff here, anybody have any changes you'd like to make on, let's say, this first page? Nobody indicating any changes on that? I just saw another person came in for a visitor. I'm gonna open it back up for a visitor. Sir, would you like to make a statement at all or speak or, because we have already gone through the visitors here, so.
Yeah, my name's Tim Meinhardt, please.
Want to go up to the mic? I know we started at like right 8 o'clock.
Yeah, my name is Tim Meinhardt, I'm Lease Center Township Highway Commissioner, so just coming to see all the information that you guys are putting together about the whole UTV community thing.
Okay.
Do you have any questions or concerns with anything, Tim?
Well, no, I mean, I'm in favor of it. And I went through my map and I know some concerns about are some county roads, and I put together on in my township, actual, if you designate trails, all the UTVs can pretty much stay on just the township roads and pretty much stay off all the county roads. Because in my township, the main road that's kind of a hazard is in between Fell Road and Burkhardt Road on Shaw Road, because all the traffic from the campers. And, you designate trails, there's a perfect way to stay away from that traffic coming in from Chicago.
What we plan on doing, you're a township commissioner.
Yes,
Well, what we're gonna do today is we're putting together the actual ordinance, and then one of us will come to your township and ask what roads that you would, that your township would allow these guys to ride on, or what roads you would not allow these guys to ride on. So,
okay, well, I guess I'm ahead of the curve. I already got the map.
okay, all right, good enough. Thank you. All right, so we're on page 2. We're starting to get into the basics of this. Let's see here. The first paragraph, any changes on that first paragraph? Is it deemed to be in the best interest of Lee County to permit controlled use of non-highway vehicles, and now therefore shall be ordained by the Lee County Board of the Lee County, Illinois, that this ordinance regarding the use of non-highway vehicles and incorporated portion Lee County hereby is adopted as follows. So we all good with that up to that? Okay. Any changes on section 1? Okay. Section 2, general. Any changes on section 2? All right. Any changes on section 3? All right. Well, we're going to get this done fast if it's like this. Section 4, definitions. For the purpose of this chapter, the following terms and phrases shall have the meaning set forth in this section. County roadway. Any changes on section A?
I do have a question on it. So if a township, so like Route 251, I get not going down all of 251, but if it's just the section in a town, it's 30-mile-an-hour speed limit. Are we saying like nowhere on 251 are you allowed to drive?
Well, unfortunately, the problem that we have, the Illinois law, Charlie, correct me if I'm right, it doesn't say you can't drive, operate on an Illinois road. 251 is an Illinois route. Even though it's a 30-mile-an-hour, Charlie, it still wouldn't fly.
I think you'd still be able to travel on that roadway because under that definition in the state statute allows for a local municipality to pass an ordinance that allows for them to be able to have UTVs on the roadway. So they wouldn't even necessarily need to have this specific ordinance. They would just need to have an ordinance that allows them to do so on that roadway.
Oh, okay. All right. So I'm taking, we want to make a motion to add that section or that area of the roadway. Is that what you're?
Or I think somewhere in here, it needs to call out, like what Charlie said, is if your local township or municipality has an ordinance
To allow that?
to allow that, then you're okay, right?
Okay.
I
Right.
think that's how I understood him.
That's what you're saying, right, Charlie?
Correct. So I don't know if we want to have something in there that would just be more of like a savings clause towards the end that says if a local or municipality that has a provision that allows them to travel on a state road, so long as they comply with state statute, they're allowed to do so.
Okay.
And I
All
can
right.
draft some language for that.
All right. I appreciate it if you could do that.
That would be great.
All right. Thank you.
That's what I was thinking, 52, right?
Right.
Yeah.
right. I always wondered about that. I know that, like Dixon, they don't let you have Galena, even though they're not letting you go on that. And that's a main highway too.
Yeah, Amboy, I do know they do
They-
right
they
there, but
are.
it's in town, so
All right. So section A is good. Section B, non-highway vehicles. Any changes that want to be made on that particular section? Section C, recreational off-highway vehicles, the definition of those. No changes there. All right, go into section 5, regulation of non-highway vehicles. All right. Section A, non-highway vehicles shall be permitted to operate between the hours of 6 o'clock and 11 p.m. each day. Ag usage shall be exempt from this section. Any changes on that? Okay, so we're all good with that. All non-highway vehicles shall be operated on the county roadways so long as non-highway vehicles has the proper equipment specification enumerated in the subsection E, which we'll get to in a second. Any changes on that? Sorry, I get to reading it. All right, any changes for B? In C, Charles, any person may not operate highway vehicle on any street or roadway unless he or she, A, any changes with A? Okay, 16 years old is fine. B, any changes with B? Okay, then that stands. Section D, any changes with section D? All right, going. All right, E, Edward, non-highway vehicles may operate on roadway unless a minimum, it has the following. So we're going to start with A, Adam. Any changes with A, Adam?
We want to make a motion to change it to 72 inches.
There's a motion to increase it to 72. The second, and we want to discuss that. Discussion. I did see a couple of UTVs out there that are 75 inches. So if we limit it to 72, I know I happen to Google some, but some are 75.
some of them do Can-Am ones, yeah, they're 75.
We should take it 75. I like.
Yeah,
So you're going to change your motion?
I'll change my motion to 75 inches.
Okay, Casey, did we do that right? Change it? Okay, all right, so the motion's to make it 75. We're amending it from 70 inches to 75. All right, any more discussions? All right, do we need to do roll call votes on each of these, you think, or,
I think you can just do it all in favor.
okay. All in favor of increasing that to 75 inches, say aye.
I,
All opposed? Okay, carried. All right. B, these vehicles have to have brakes. We all in agreement on that? I'm sorry, it's there. Some people.
yes, we need brakes.
All right, no changes there. C, Charles, and only Department of Transportation approved seatbelt safety harnesses. We all in agreement there? Cockpit enclosures. Okay, we all agree with C. Number D, David, cockpit enclosures and rollover bars. We all in agreement there? E, Edward, we're all agreement that E, Edward, steering apparatus, commonly known as a steering wheel. We all good with that? Okay. A functioning horn, number F, we're all good with F. G George, Illinois Department of Transportation highway tires. We all in agreement that they need to have that? Say that again.
When you purchase them, it doesn't, I don't know if they're considered Illinois Department approved tires.
Well, I've Googled and there are tires out there that I've seen that are tires that are made for dirt, but then there's also tires that say that have that DOT lettering on it that says DOT approved.
Right. I think
Charlie, do we have to have that in there?
So the reason that that was originally included in there is so that we're getting away from that definition that's under state statute. It differentiates from the state statute definition of the non-highway vehicle more so. It was also contemplated, and I may be wrong about this, but I think this was something Bob and Chris were working on, but it was contemplated for the noise portion of it too.
So is it required that we have that in there, or could we make a motion to remove that?
I'm looking at the other requirements on here to make sure that we're getting away from that definition of the state.
Because we make our vehicle too close like a state, then we got to go back to that.
Correct. Then you're back to that. You can only enforce this on roadways that are 35 or less.
Okay. Did talk to somebody just in conversation while Charlie's looking this up. Somebody was using this on a roadway, their knobby tires, and wore down pretty quickly. I would think somebody would want DOT.
I think
type
most people
tires.
probably, I mean, they might, what I'm saying is when you go purchase one, like, so I called around to dealerships, the tires that come when you purchase it are
Right.
not considered DOT approved
Right, so you have to actually buy brand new tires
after you go and
after you
purchase a
purchase the vehicle.
$30,000 machine. And somebody may by choice, right,
Mhm.
because it wears them out, but
Well, I feel that if we are gonna allow these vehicles, which I'm not against, but I feel there's issues here, that they should comply with some of the terms that other vehicles have to operate on our county and township roadways. I think it's only fair. And I think DOT is a good answer as far as safety issues. That's why IDOT has these, what do you want to call it, regulations is for safety issues. I just feel that there should be a IDOT approved type of tires because we're going to be operating on a highway, not, off the road type conditions.
We can come back to G George after Charlie kind of researches a little bit more and get his opinion. We can just move forward here. All right, so we'll go back to G. We're going to start with H, review mirror. We all need to have review mirrors. Okay, we're on agreement on that. Okay, Ida, windshield. If applicant driver does not have a windshield, applicant driver is required to wear a safety eyewear or safety helmet with eye protection. Are we all good with that?
I still feel that those vehicles should have a full windshield and wiper plates on it. If they're going to operate on a roadway or township highway. Off the road, they're on their own, but I think being on a roadway, people, for safety purposes, I just think it's only fair. Once again, I'm going back to what every other motor vehicle is required to have for equipment on these roadways.
Are you gonna make a motion to make a change?
I am making that motion.
Okay, you're gonna make a motion to have windshield regardless of eyewear or helmet.
Right, with the windshield wiper plates,
Okay.
full windshield.
All right. Is there a second for that motion? And we can have a discussion on it. Need a second? Okay, the motion has died. Is that what the term is, died? Okay, so I stands.
I think do we want to consider, and I'm just throwing it out here, as it says, driver does not have a windshield, applicant driver. It doesn't say anything about passengers required to wear safety glasses and a helmet as well. If they don't have it, should we consider adding driver/passengers in the vehicle? I mean, one would assume that someone would have common sense enough to wear safety glasses if they're riding in the front of one of these things.
You would think.
I know it's not gonna, if you're not driving it, then do you still have to wear them? I mean,
Mhm. Are you making a motion to add the passenger? Needs to have the eye.
I would
eyewear.
think that you would have to, I'd make a motion that the passenger has to wear safety glasses as well, or a helmet.
Okay, there's a first. Do I have a second?
A second.
Okay,
Hey, Jack, can I just jump in real quick? If you
Sure.
want to make that change, I think it's a good change, but if you want to make that one, I think it might be better off doing that further down. Like with section 7, we have the seat belts required. Maybe making a different section for that for the passengers.
okay. All right, so
I'll remove my motion.
can you remove your motion? Danielle, you're gonna remove your
I'll
second
remove
motion?
my second.
Okay, so as we get further down, we'll just add that in there. Okay. All right, so as it stands, J. John, any changes on
What is that?
the red reflecting warning devices in the front and rear? I think it's just your brake lights. I think they, even though they're not on, they still have that reflected material, I believe.
Is the functional tail lamps with the visible light is I.
Red reflectors warning devices in the front and rear.
We have headlights and we have tail lights. Yeah.
It's like,
Charlie, do you know what that's supposed to be? I just thought then I was seeing the front. There shouldn't be anything red in the front of vehicles.
Without pulling it up, I think this was pulled over directly from the Dixon ordinance.
Red reflectorized warning devices in the front and rear. It's kind of like a slow moving triangle looking thing, maybe. I don't know.
That reflectorized.
It's just a
motion to remove it
reflectorized
if it's
warning
not
device
required.
is what they're calling it for the front and rear.
Is that reflectorized tape, I believe?
I-
Could be.
But we don't
But it is.
specify how much it is, where it needs to be located. Like, is it, like, I think it's kind of vague. Like, what is the requirement? Are we requiring
Okay.
it to put reflective tape all the way across the back and all the way across the front of the grill? Or what? If we don't understand what it is, how is
I mean,
the user gonna?
And another
apply?
thing is that to Keen's point, as far as vehicles on the road, your car doesn't have red
Stickers.
reflecting stuff on the front and rear. It's got headlights and taillights, and that's what we're requiring the machines to have. Is that correct?
Right.
So what, I mean, I don't know what the red reflectors things would be.
So I've pulled up the Dixon City ordinance and it looks like they've got the red reflectorized warning devices in the front and rear and a slow moving emblem as required under state statute. So I think it was just pulled over directly from that one because I think we were just trying to be consistent with Dixon's. So I mean, whatever you guys want to do with it.
So this, under the Dixon ordinance, if I'm not, they have the reflectorized, correct?
Correct.
Correct. Yep.
I can see both sides of this. So the people with the county permits want to go into the city of Dixon, the city gonna, what they should, I would hope, would honor that. I
Right.
just don't, if this goes through, I don't want to see people that get in a situation where they're not equipped under the guidelines of the so-called city ordinance. Not that I don't think it'd be an issue, but it's something for a stop.
I mean, is that something the county would have to issue 2 6-inch stickers that are got the red reflectors things with their permit?
Yeah.
We'll make sure, I don't understand
Right.
what their requirement is. And I, like Keene said, I don't know why they wouldn't allow. But if this is their ordinance, I don't know if they'd allow county to supersede that.
That's one of the things we'll have to do too, is
Maybe we,
get with the different municipalities and see if they'll honor our permits too.
Because
So,
that's different than a slow moving vehicle sign, for sure.
Right,
I mean, red
right.
reflective warning device, I'm not sure what they're,
yeah,
what
it sounds like it. And what's in the head needs to be red too. So we're going to require our vehicles to have some type of reflective in the front and the back of these vehicles.
Are you making a motion to remove it? Or I'm going to.
You go ahead, I'll second it.
I'm gonna make a motion to remove J.
Okay, I got a motion to remove the J. John? Do I have a second?
I second it.
What's that? The motion is to remove J. John red reflective warning device in the front of our ordinance. And do I have a second to that?
I'll second it.
Casey's seconding it. All right, any more discussion on that?
Do you think it's, I mean, I understand that it'd be good in our thing to remove that, but is it a good thing for us, Charlie, to discuss it with the city before? So if they say it's a deal breaker and they're gonna require the city, we're gonna have to put it back in or do something.
The city's gonna be allowed to have whatever they want in their ordinance. Just because we're taking it out of here, anybody that's traveling through the city is still gonna have to have that on here.
So if a county person buys a county permit and we don't have this in there, we don't abide by the rules, they can get fined in Dixon. Is that correct?
Correct.
Yes. So maybe put this. We should maybe get some clarity.
Yeah, that's one of the things, I think too, after when we get this all done, is we're gonna have to go to each municipality too and ask them, hey, this is ours. Are you going to adopt our rules? You know, and if they allow that, then we shouldn't be. Our person without the red reflecting warning device should be okay. So.
Being legal in Lee County doesn't necessarily make it legal.
Exactly. Well,
But we gotta be legal in Cook County to drive in Cook County.
yeah, right.
I mean, you can always make it stricter. I mean, we talked about the highway tires a little bit ago. You can always make it more strict in terms of how you want to make it beyond what the cities would be. But to take something away from what the city has, that's when you're going to get in trouble. And some things you probably want to consider. I mean, to Keen's point, you're not going to have vehicles going to the speeds that you're going to have out in the highway with the windshield like he wanted to have. You're not going to have that issue in town. Nobody can go over 35 in town anyway. So, I mean, when you talk about like the highway tires too, that's something else I think that was contemplated.
All right. Any more discussion on that? We're gonna vote on it. All right. All those in favor of removing J, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, say aye. Aye. I think the removal is one, so we're gonna remove it.
Yeah, I was in favor of removing it. I seconded the motion, so yeah, I'll get, no worries.
So where are we at here?
Okay, so it got removed.
Okay.
The J is removed from the ordinance.
And if you're gonna ride in Dixon, you need to follow Dixon rules. And
Yeah.
if they require red reflective tape, then whatever their permitting process is, or
Right,
however that works.
we gotta find out if we don't have it, are our people gonna be ticketed? So,
Which means we'll have to bring it back in.
Or they just have to add
Or
it
they just have to
themselves.
Or if the
follow.
city will
yeah,
accept.
you know, that's something too, is we can always add it in there later
Yeah,
too.
we can
Yeah.
bring it up and make a
So
motion.
for now, we're removing it. We'll go from there. Okay. So let's put a special indicator on this. So, back. All right, functioning headlights, K. We good with this? Okay, L, functioning tail light. We good with that? And Mary, brake lights. Good with that. And Nora, turn signals. We're good with that. All right, now,
I have something I'd like to add to this,
Okay.
throw out there.
all right, go ahead.
Gals and fellas, I know this going back to on the roadway safe equipment. I know these vehicles do not have to have doors. But if they don't have doors with left outside and right outside mirrors, I think they should then be mounted on that vehicle like any other vehicle that has to operate on a roadway. So I guess my thing is make a motion
Make a motion for,
To add as far as equipment, if the vehicle does not have already mounted left and right side outside mirror, they need to be equipped with. Said
so you're making a motion for outside
left,
mirrors.
yeah, rear, I'm sorry, left and right outside mirrors if they're not already equipped on the vehicle.
Okay. We have a motion for outside mirrors. Do I have a second? Motion on the floor for outside mirrors required. I have a second.
I'll second it for a matter of discussion.
Okay. All right. Casey will second it. Okay. Okay, Keen, if you want to elaborate a little more on yours, here's your opportunity, or here's your,
Okay, yes, I just feel that once again, this vehicle, no problem being on these roadways, but I gotta stand behind the fact, it's all safety issues. That the vehicle, I feel, should have the same type of required equipment as any other motor vehicle that has, by law, is allowed to operate on our county and township roadways. I just can't, myself, my feelings are that, I shouldn't let, I won't say feelings, that the standards for this UTV should not be any lower than we already have for other vehicles that we require to have to operate on the roadways. Once again, these vehicles were exclusively built for off-road use. Now we're bringing them up to be used on the highways. I feel they should, that's fine, but they should have the same standards as far as equipment as any other motor vehicle that's allowed lawfully to operate.
I think, a left and right mirror, it's a pretty inexpensive accessory to put on there. And if it adds to the safety, I don't see what it would hurt. Any user operator can add that on themselves. They're not going to have to go out and spend thousands of dollars on the left and right mirror. So, I mean, if it's something that we feel would help make them safer to operate, and it's relatively, it's not that intrusive, it's not that costly.
Yeah.
I could go either way. I don't, I
And
mean,
if we put it in there and they don't abide by the rule, it's just another thing that they could get ticketed. for.
right. I don't think anybody's going to want to get pulled over because they don't have a right and left mirror. So when they do it,
Because I'll tell you, and this is just from my experience on UTVs, the outside mirrors, keen with the vibration of the machine, there's no benefit. to them. They're real, I mean, and the mirrors are very small. I mean, when you're driving, the vibration, I mean, it's just almost a moot point though, because most of the rear view mirrors are, when you look in the rear view mirror, they're optical to where you're seeing on both sides of the vehicle. That's just what I've got on my machine. But a lot of my friends that have got those mirrors, the mirrors are smaller than this. And just the vibration of the machine, I mean, it's more of a hindrance than it is a help. And that's just my opinion. But and I understand where you're coming from, but we could still put it in the ordinance. If they get pulled over and they don't have it, it's just it's a ticketable. I mean, if they get a ticket for it, it's.
I put them on. They're small, like you said. I use the rear view mirror, but I have them. I mean,
Yeah.
and we install them ourselves. Like you
Yeah,
said, it was
it's both
inexpensive. We have left and right mirrors. I don't use them a lot. I'm okay with
Like I could go either way.
that same. I don't.
I don't.
It's not worth holding it up.
I don't know. I mean, personally, we call for a vote on it, but
all right, let's call for a vote. All in favor for having, requiring outside mirrors? All in favor, say aye.
I
All right, voice carries it. All right, so we're going to add outside mirrors required.
Hey, Jack, can I
That's-
just ask a question for the clarifying?
Yeah,
Is that
left and right.
is that just if they don't have the doors, or is that on top of it?
The idea is, Charlie, if the doors do not have the mirror, if the doors aren't mounted on the vehicle with mirrors, this is the other option. So in other words, if it's a doored vehicle, they must have a left and a right outside mirror mounted. If open cockpit, then they should be mounted, on the vehicle.
So regardless, they should have mirrors.
Irregardless, the
They should have
vehicle,
mirrors.
yes.
Okay, just want to make sure.
I think it would just, as we say, brake lights and then turn signals, then O would be outside mirrors, regardless if
Right.
they're doors or no
Right,
doors.
just outside mirrors, yeah.
Yeah, nothing to do with doors.
Yeah,
Right.
nothing to do with doors. All right.
Just for
And-
clarification, that was not all paper, was it?
Was that all what?
I didn't vote yes for it, but that's fine. I'm a nay, so
Okay, I just
Okay,
wanted to
It
make
was still,
sure. So
it was
for the-
still three,
I put it out there for discussion and that's
Right.
fine. I think it's,
right?
It's part of the ordinance, but if you choose not to have them.
Yeah.
right. I think it makes sense. It is what it is.
I just need it for the minutes in the vote, and I
Yeah.
can see him shaking his head. Nobody said anything.
You just laugh.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, and I'll just where we put Casey's suggestion of the
See, F, it says when operating on a roadway, non-highway vehicle shall have its headlights and tail lamps lit as required. I'm not familiar with section 12-201 of the Illinois Vehicle Code. So I'm not sure if that requires it to be on only when operating at night, or if that requires them to be operated on all the time.
12201 deals with the motorcycles.
Okay.
It specifies that motorcycles shall have their lights on all the
1221 is
time.
section safety equipment for headlights.
Right. But it says motorcycles though in that.
Yeah, your headlights on 24/7.
That's what
can we
I wanted
say
to have
that?
added because it wasn't
Yeah,
in the
because it's not
ordinance.
Yeah, it should be
24 hours.
Mhm,
during the day, your headlights.
Yes.
mhm.
So you feel that we should add 24 hours?
I can put up the language for 12201 if you guys want to see it in the chat.
But does that, it just says they're required to have them on at all times?
It's when lighted lamps are required. So, when it's getting to dusk, when there's low visibility, that kind of thing.
I think they should be on all the time.
At all times.
So that wouldn't cover us then, right? Charlie, according to what you're saying, that doesn't require them during the day.
Correct. Yep.
And I think that during our hours of operations from 6 to 11, they should be required at all times.
Okay.
So that's what I'd like to make a motion to modify F to require that. Instead of saying 12-201, it's any during the hours of operation.
Ignition's on, it's on.
Right.
All right. Did you get that language, Charlie, on that motion?
I did. So if the motion passes, this is what it would read. When operated on a roadway, a non-highway vehicle should have its headlights and tail lamps lighted during all hours of operation.
Yes.
Okay. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Tom seconds it. Any more discussion on it? All right, those all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Yeah, as solid waste and transportation, when we talked about that at our committee, that was one of the things that we said, in order for it to be considered safe, we would want to have them on all the time. So it brings attention to the
For
user.
sure.
What did that say again? I'm just trying to read it down. During all
During all operation of it, they should have the lights on.
operations of hours or something. I was trying to remember what Charlie said. Thank you.
All right, G, George, person who drives or an actual physical control of the vehicle. This deals with the DUI laws. Everything good with that? All right, H, Henry. This is basically, they still have to follow the rules, the law of the road. You good with that? Hi, Ida. No, no non-highway vehicle shall operate on county sidewalks or other surfaces other than the county township roads. What if we get trails? Would this fall into that category? Or not? Well, let's just say somebody allows us to have trails, would this allow us?
Authorized trails. Authorized trails. Yeah.
I don't think that if it's private property or somewhere that it's allowed.
That's true. It wouldn't matter. Okay. All right. So we're all good with I? All right, section 6, insurance requirements. We all good with section 6?
Hey, Jack, did you have a J on that last section?
HI, I don't have J.
Okay.
Did you, unless your copy does?
Yeah, we had something included on there that was any violations of Title 625, Chapter 5 of the Illinois compiled statutes that are codified as petty offenses shall be adopted in this ordinance to the extent legally allowed and enforced against drivers, occupants of non-highway vehicles as county ordinance violations. And what this does is just allows for the sheriff to be able to collect any of those fines rather than having them showing up to court each time.
Okay. All right. Yeah, that's not on our copy. We have the August draft, so I don't know what copy you have, but is everybody good with Jay, John? With what Charlie says on that? Yeah, that makes sense. All right.
So
we'll
it
keep-
would make it a motion, it would make it a ordinance violation rather than a moving violation under the code. Is that correct? Charlie?
Correct, yes. Yep.
Yeah, I'm definitely in favor of that.
Okay. All right, so we're good with that. All right, go to section 6. Insurance requirements. We all good with the insurance requirements? All right, section 7, seatbelts required during the operation of non-highway vehicles. The operator and all passengers shall wear a seatbelt or Illinois Department approved safety harness. Feel good with that?
I think this is where you'd want to put in the part that Casey was talking about with the eye protection for the passengers.
Okay. So Casey, you want to make a motion to
Require the same language that's required for the driver would be required for the passenger in a vehicle that doesn't have a windshield.
Is that all passengers, even the back, if there's second seats in the back too?
I would,
When you say passengers,
I don't think the back seat people need to wear it, but that's just.
but front seats? Okay.
Sure.
All right, so we have a motion to add eyewear for the front seat passenger. We have is that correct, that motion? Is that how it's worded? Second? Danielle second it. Any more discussion on that? All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed?
Yeah, aye.
You're opposing?
Yep.
All right, it passed. All right, section 8, permit required. No person shall operate a non-highway vehicle. Well, you guys can read it, sorry. I'm doing all right, okay.
Mhm.
I know, I hate reading out loud, I'm sorry. But everyone can read section A. Any question on section A or changes on section A?
And
But
can you not have, you have to have a motion to have discussion? I'm just trying to figure out why the first year is more than the second year. Just thoughts behind that.
I'm thinking that the reason for the first year is to kind of maybe, I don't know. I don't know why, but you would, would you guys like to leave them all the same?
What is the city? Isn't the city ordinance 100?
150, yeah, but I think they use that to pay for the license plate, and then they just continue to use
Processing?
that, they just use that license plate as that major purchase for the first time, and then they just renew that plate with a sticker after that. So I think that helps defray the cost of the plate that they're purchasing. So I think that's the reason why. So we looking to change it to
I mean, I'm okay
50/50
with it. I just
or
wondered if we
100/100?
had a theory behind, like a reason behind it. I don't-
I don't know what the cost of the stickers are, so I don't want to like.
I don't know.
The
We haven't
stickers-
gotten to that part yet, but
I
so,
mean, then we can't really make an amendment to this if we don't know what their cost are.
right.
It's not I don't think it's gonna be that much, but
Yeah, Clay was telling me that they get it from a local vendor here, and the cost for them for the plates are like $15 for that particular plate.
the stickers.
Yeah, they're probably much cheaper than that, yeah, but it's more of an administrative fee, I'm thinking. A lot of that is. Like I said, you're not gonna make much money on these permits. But it's just more or less to defray the costs of having somebody have to process all this information. So you want to make changes on it, or are we fine with A?
Can we come back to it when
We
we
can
know
come
what we're
back.
gonna?
Okay, let's come back. All right. All right, B-boy, starting with every applicant or for permit shall be made supplied to the by the county shall be contained the following information. All right, we all good with number one? We're all good with number two? We're all good with number three?
Well, can we go back to number two?
Sure, sure.
I mean, so they have to show proof of insurance, photocopy of their card, even though if I get my machine, my son can jump in there because he's 16 years old. He's gonna be driving. I mean, it's assumed that you have insurance. Every time you jump in your car, you don't have to show proof of insurance until you have a moving violation. You have to have insurance by law. So, I mean, I think we're making this more, I think it's not user friendly doing all this because people are gonna come in up north, you go in there, you give them your name, what type of machine you got. They don't ask for serial numbers or anything. You abide by the rules and you get your sticker and you're on your way. I think this is.
I mean, we said rules of the road, which
Rules
means
of the
you have
road,
to have
you have to have
insurance.
insurance. I mean, why would we want to facilitate bringing everybody in and have somebody have to file this and do, you got to make it to where it's not a difficult thing for this to happen. They've got to abide by the rules of the road and you have to have insurance. And that's one of the things.
So are
This is
you
a-
making? Go ahead,
This is
Charlie.
again, this is straight from the Dixon ordinance.
Right. But yeah, I understand that. But I just think every year you're gonna card everyone, get their license, and they're gonna have kids and other people driving their machines anyway. So I mean, I just don't know how you police that. And I just.
Well,
Which was-
I understand what you're saying, Tom. I see both sides of it, but upon demand, you have to display. That's the thing. My feeling is that the first time you come out is you keep it. You just make a photocopy it from most, like you probably have fleet because your company. Just throw a copy it in there. It's up to them to maintain, I mean,
Right.
the thing is 9 times out of 10, if you get cited for it, you got insurance on it, you got to show proof later. But I think initially, so you get out there, you're following the requirement. I just think that's only
But
fair.
who in the county is going to go through here and categorically put a thing together that's, well, here's a list. I mean, I just think we're getting into more governmental involvement. And I just don't.
If you get pulled over, you have to show proof of insurance.
That's where I'm getting at. You still
Yeah,
have to
I don't
show
know that I
proof.
need
If
it to get
nothing
my
else,
permit,
you
my
don't.
sticker, right? But if you get pulled over, you have to follow the
that's
rules of
just
the
it,
road,
yeah.
right? So I
If you
should
get
have,
pulled over for anything, even when the turn signal's out or a
Right.
headlight for some reason,
They're gonna
What-
ask for
now
proof
you're
of
gonna get
insurance.
nailed.
I've got my
What-
insurance
what-
card in my machine.
What Tom is saying is that prior to get that permit, you've got to bring in that copy of that insurance. So he's talking about at the process of that permit. In other words, when you go get your license for your vehicle at the DMV, you don't have to bring a copy of your insurance.
I-
You just-
I don't believe you have to show proof when you get license plates in the state of Illinois for a vehicle. Would you?
No.
I don't think so.
No.
I'm just saying, the problem is, someone here at the county is gonna have to put the photocopies in, put it in a file somewhere, then this
Mhm.
just becomes a,
Just another thing that we've got to gather from them, Tom's just trying to limit.
I understand that, like everything else, if you get stopped, you
have
have
to
to
show
show
Yeah,
it.
you're gonna have to
you
show
have
it.
to show it. And if you don't have it,
If
you're
you don't
gonna
have
get
it, you pay, yeah.
I mean,
think
I have a
that's-
bag in my thing that has the
does mine.
registration, insurance, all that. So if I did get stopped, I can.
You have to obey what the rules are.
So-
I think we should, I make a motion to eliminate number 2 to make it easier for processing permits for the over-the-road stickers.
Okay,
I'll second it.
motion to remove. Tom, Danielle seconds it. Any more discussions on that?
My only concern, and I get it, we understand people, but my only concern is that if someone doesn't have the insurance, and then we never ask for proof of it when we issued the permit, and then let's say unfortunately there is an accident, and they say, well, we didn't know, I know ignorance isn't above the law, but then if there's an accident and they don't have insurance, and then they come back and say, well, we didn't know we needed it, I know
Can we put it
But it's
somewhere
gonna
in
be,
here
it's gonna
that,
be in there to where it's the rules of the road. I mean, I think it's gonna be listed when they go
Yeah,
to get the
it's-
permit. It's gonna show turn lights or all, everything.
Right.
Section
That's part of
6 says that you have to have insurance. So that's part of the
Okay,
ordinance. is
so
that.
then I guess I'd be okay as long as it says you have to have it. We're just
I
not.
would say if
part
it
of it.
worked
We're not
clear,
gonna-
Field produce it.
This is,
Yeah.
A demand by any law enforcement.
yeah, then that's just part of the rules of the road anyways too. So,
can we add that to where you,
Oh, it sounds like it's already there.
It's
then.
already
yeah,
there, okay.
it's already, well, it's part of that. Providing proof of it when you get pulled over, you gotta show that.
Yeah, it's right. You know, it says that anyone has to have insurance. So
Okay.
as long as we already call it out, I'm okay with that, not having to show it when you apply for the sticker. So
Okay. All right, any more discussion? To a vote, all in favor of removing section 2 from the section B? All in favor, say aye.
aye.
All opposed? Okay, carried. So Charlie, did you get that? Number 2 is going to be removed out of there as a requirement.
Yep, I have it in there.
All right. Number 3. Everybody good with number 3? Number 4. Now, I do know that we did talk about having the sheriff at one time do a certification of these vehicles. And we talked about not having him do that. So this is what that kind of deals with.
Make a motion that we remove 4.
4. Need a
I
second on
second
that?
it.
All right. Any more discussion on that? Again, this is where, when you go to get your vehicle registration, they're not coming out and making sure that you've got this or that. So, all right. Any other discussion on it? All those in favor of removing number 4, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? So number 4 has been removed out. Number 5. Having them sign a waiver, part of when they get their permit. We all go with number 5.
So long as they're reading what we're expecting.
Yep.
And I think that's great.
We're all good with number 5. All right. Now, I had talked about making sure that people threw in pictures. You guys are all in favor of having a photograph as part of the photograph of their machine.
Where's
I
that at?
think it's a good idea as far as for the law enforcement side of it, especially if a vehicle will say stolen.
Part of their permit process.
Yeah.
Having a photograph of their,
Who's gonna store the photograph? Who's gonna keep it?
Where are you gonna go to
Where are you
look
gonna
for
go
it?
look- What police officer is gonna go through 500 photographs? Because we're gonna have probably 4. I mean, how many city of Dixon have right now?
I'm not
A
for
lot.
sure.
I mean, over 600? Yeah, 600 in Dixon. We're gonna have 1,000 registered UTVs possibly. I mean, where are you gonna store 1,000 pictures? You just, you go in, up north, you go in, you give them, you tell them you got a UTV make and model, just like what number 3, and you don't have to give them the serial number, but you give that to them, they issue a sticker and away you go, and you abide by the rules of what the rules for that. I'm taking a picture of it, I just don't know who's gonna facilitate it, and how we're gonna have to pay more than $50 a person. We're gonna have to have clerical help, file this stuff, keep all this. I just think it's something that is not necessary.
Just throwing it out there.
No, I get it.
Just throwing it out
I know,
there.
but
Just seeing what
I
sticks.
just want to make it as easy as possible for someone to jump in a machine and go spend money in our county property. That's really.
All right, we're good there. All right. All right, we're done with those. You're going to see Charles. County shall issue each permitted non-highway vehicle numbered county approved sticker, which shall be affixed to the rear of the non-highway vehicle. A numbered county approved sticker issued by Lee County Sheriff may be substituted for the county issued county approved sticker, provided the applicant shall disclose the county approved sticker number to the county at the time of the annual permit is obtained. Every non-highway vehicle shall require to have a county approved sticker, and county approved sticker shall not be transferable The annual permit should be issued, shall be by the county, shall be affixed to the county's approved sticker and visible to all times during the operation of the non-highway vehicle. There shall be a fee of $25 for every replacement plates or permit. Okay, I believe this is where we talk about the plates or the county. And this is where it's issued by the sheriff. There's been talk about having, maybe vendors issue these decals. And so if we were going to do that, we need to kind of eliminate the verbiage that the sheriff is the one that's going to be issuing the decals. And, unless we come up with verbiage that says approved vendors, or what's your thoughts on that if you're wanting to do that?
I think we need to reach out, to somebody in Paw Paw, so people don't come into Dixon to get a permit. There should be somebody in Amboy that's issuing. There should be somebody in Dixon. There's a place out here that's going to have a UTV shop out here on 26. But we need to make it easy for them to get the stickers, but that way we're not having people travel all the way to Dixon to get stickers. The stickers, once you put the sticker on, they don't come off. And John, I don't know if John's on here or not, but at the last meeting that we had about this, John liked the idea of the sticker because the sticker's bigger than this, and it's got to be displayed in the rear window. And he liked the colored thing with
Every year.
the
it's
police
different.
officers. No, it's green this year, it's purple next year, it's yellow, So I think the sticker idea is the best way to go and not have license plates. That's
How about
just my
it?
own opinion.
How about a tag, like the city has, I don't know, later they have a tag with a number on it.
They got a plate with a
Like
number
a
on it.
number on it. I'm for that, because that way, if you want to find out, you just get behind, all the number is 125. I don't mean a big license plate, but I think it should be an identifiable vehicle from the rear. Not a front mount, just a rear mount with the tag on it or right close by. So if you want to, we'll say someone has a plane, what's it look like? And give all kinds of colors. Well, I saw a tag on it, the number was such and such. I just think for people's concerns out there, to be friendly to the citizens, so they know if there is an issue, I know if I get the number, at least I got something. But it doesn't have to be a regular license plate like vehicles have.
Could just be a small, about the size.
So like, something small enough that, and then actually you can adhere the sticker, like the license plate, right to that son of a gun, and it's there. So each year they just put another one on it.
Plate with a sticker's fine.
What's that?
Plate with a sticker's fine. If that's where you guys want to go. I think that the plates with the number that's easily identifiable, and then a sticker for the renewal is fine. Different colored sticker for each year, if that's
But
where
I-
you want to go.
But I still think if that's the route we want to go. It still has to be done with someone, with
I should
someone in
go
Paw Paw,
places
somebody
in
else
the
in the,
county.
and somebody else in the county. We don't want
And-
the sheriff to have any more headaches than he's already got as far as this goes. We got to make it easy for people to get them, and then have preferred vendors that would help us do this every year.
Sheriff, what's your thought of like, let's say we got 500 plates and stickers, and we would divide them up to 3 different vendors, let's say in different counties. And then when somebody would sell, for that week or month or however, they take it to your office, and then you keep that database, or you keep a file on registered vehicles. Is that something that your office is willing to do?
Well, we do need to keep a centralized database. Yes. And having the vendors throughout the county, I think it's a great idea, because then they can just go to their, village, circuit clerk or whoever, city clerk is fine, however they want to handle that. But yeah, we gotta have a centralized database, and we can, in this day and age of technology, we should be able to do that electronically. Easy enough. So yeah, we can keep a database here
Okay.
if you want us to.
So when it said it's issued by the sheriff, Lee County Sheriff, doesn't necessarily say that you're issuing it, but you're going to authorize locations. Would that be the right verbiage? I want to say is that you would be authorizing certain areas in the county to issue these permits based on the criteria that we're setting forth.
No, the board would.
Well,
You would authorize those vendors.
I mean, we would authorize it, yes, but guess I'm trying to think of the word I want to use here. Okay,
So I think we need to add language in there of some sort that calls that out, like how we're gonna approve the vendors or an agent, you know, like how are we gonna do
Right.
this? Like, if the sheriff is gonna collect it or issue the tags, then how,
This pops with more stuff.
but how do we, I mean, how do we,
how do we word that? How do we word that? Charlie? Are you still there? You know
Yes,
what we're
sir.
trying to say?
Yeah, I think you're gonna want to add a new paragraph that just says that vendors may be approved. And I don't know if you want to have an application process for those vendors to be able to do so, or if it's just going to be a matter of, you know, any Casey's will do or any whatever it may be. But you're going to want to be able to keep track of those that
Right.
separate paragraph will say these vendors specifically will be allowed to issue stickers that have been approved by the sheriff or whatever it may be.
Okay.
Yeah, just give them.
So I just need to understand what it is that you guys want it to look like before I can come up with the language.
well, I think that I think it doesn't necessarily, I hear John Nicholson saying, make it the city clerk closes at 4:30. We want to make it convenient. So if somebody comes down from Wisconsin on a Friday night, they can stop at Amboy Sporting Goods Store and get a sticker, or they can stop at the Casey's and Paw Paw that are open later and get their sticker. So
And they get X amount of dollars to process this. So at the end of the week or month, however John wants them to do it, and it can be done electronically, but at the end of the month, they sell 75 stickers and they get $15 to process it. They're gonna get a fee, and then the rest of the fee would come to the county. So am I wrong in saying that?
no, I think you're right. I mean, if we charge $100 for the initial one, which we were talking about, then with the plate, then a portion of that money would go to the vendor who's issuing it. I think we just need to call that out in here, saying that's.
Just like that, you can get it at the gas stations,
Walmart.
Walmarts, anywhere.
Online.
It's just like.
I guess I take back what I said, you know, you think about it, you go get your Walmart, you get your permits, whatever else you want. Same idea, you know. and
It's just
all tied
less-
into a
less-
central location anyway. I think of that.
You can go online and put
Yeah.
all your information and they'll mail it to you, so you can have it before
I-
you even go somewhere. So, and it's just a little sticker. It
Right.
doesn't, it has the year on it. I
They
don't
don't.
put
Right.
it a number or anything. It's just,
Yeah, there's no number. It's not.
it says 20, 21, 22.
So I think we're getting there. We're just trying to find the right verbiage motion, Charlie, to add that verbiage to that second line.
And I'm working on some language to kind of, I think, frame that, especially because I think you're going to want to have somebody like the sheriff that will be able to pull the authorization should there be any issues from any of those vendors coming forward too, kind of like a liquor commission type of thing too.
Right. Yeah, because I think I don't think everybody should have it. I think they should need to apply to want to sell these permits. We have to give them, from 1 to 50, you're in charge of 1 to 50, and you're responsible for 1 through 50. When it comes to the permit number. So,
So did
Yeah.
you say plates? I mean, did we agree on that much or,
what's that now?
because we're talking about the vendors, but did we agree on plates?
Right,
We
yeah.
have agreed on that?
Oh, okay.
Or are we talking stickers? And then like agree on what we're gonna issue and then how you get it issued to
Exactly.
you?
If you're going to do vendors for the permitting process, I think you're going to want to have stickers, and not having UTV myself, but appreciating the fact that if you're going town to town, you're not going to want to have multiple plates on the back of your UTV.
No, I agree too. I think you just want to have, if you're going to have one plate or one sticker, that would cover, the county portion of that. So I don't think you're going to have different plates or or anything like that. I think one sticker should be the same and one plate should be the same. So I don't think you're gonna have different plates. Is that what you're saying, Danielle?
No, I just want to know, are we going to require a plate or are we going to require a sticker?
Well, I like the plate. I like the plate idea. And then the sticker to go on top of that for every year after that.
But let's say we got some bad actors. They want to remove a bunch of plates when they're at a bar somewhere and throw them in the ditch. Then what do you do? The whole concept of the sticker is these stickers go on the windshield. No, nobody up there likes to put them on the rear view, on the back end, because they don't come off. I mean, and it's visible for the DNR to see. I just think license plates throughout the county is just, I don't,
What if, Tom, we, initial plate for the number process and then put your tag on the back?
of this, of the.
Yes.
Yeah, and maybe that's what it is. Maybe there's a,
And put it
A
above the
license
plate,
plate.
because you're gonna see the plate and the tag will be right above it.
Yeah.
So whoever
I mean,
looks says,
that
"Hey,
would
this
be
is
more acceptable than
compliance."
having a plate with a sticker on it. Somebody could take and chuck them into the woods or steal it and put it on his UTV. You never, that's, yeah.
Have a plate and registration, you're separate.
Mhm.
Just had the plate's nothing more than an ID tag is what that is. And the plate registration stickers for,
No,
being
but
The
valid.
visitors
sticker
are
doesn't
gonna have-
necessarily go on the plate every year. It would go on.
Well, you
the
can put it on the windshield.
Right.
And visitors are gonna have a plate attached now. So Wisconsin people come down and they have to have a plate on their UTV.
Well, when they would register to get the sticker, they would also be given a plate.
Right.
Unless we create a temporary, sticker only, make that a different color, and they don't have to worry about the plate. I don't, is that your thoughts too?
Let's see if I understand. You talk about out of state or people coming down.
So
I
now
think
we're
the
gonna
sheriff
have them.
brought this up at an earlier meeting. My feelings is I don't think they should get a county tag license plate, but as long as they get the sticker, it's on there, it still shows, the value, because of the fact, I think we're gonna chase people away, because nobody's gonna want to come down.
Get a plate.
And let's face it, a lot of them go out to the different campgrounds, which they can, but according to that, they almost have to have the so-called, if they get out on a roadway, want to pay $100 to come down there just for a few days out of the year. Whereas at least if you say you need the sticker, at least you get, what is it, $25, I believe, for that registration sticker.
So you're saying out of county
Out of
residents?
county, out of state, if they're already registered legally in whatever their jurisdiction, which most of them are, they're gonna be out here. And
Mhm.
I think all that we should require them is just to have our registration tag sticker. Gives them authority to be on our roads.
So it's easier if I lived out of county.
Pardon me?
It's easier if I lived out of county.
Absolutely. Yeah.
No different than getting a
That's
And
what
then,
we're saying.
so
I'm sorry?
so let me ask you,
temporary fishing license.
I,
I mean, Minnesota.
I think, I think the line that we took out, or that I made the motion on to remove, plates. We're going to require a plate. And it's not going to be written down anywhere whose plate number it is. It's just so people can help identify if a machine goes by and say, plate number 176 misbehaved, because the police are going to pull up, they're going to see the plate, and they're not going to have any information on the computer that says 176 registered to so-and-so. I think the reason the city had the plate in there, and I wanted to take out all the governmental stuff to keep track of this. I think the reason they have the plate is because I think the city of Dixon, if you got on a machine and said, machine 310 is so-and-so, they've got that on record, but they've built a database. And I think we're making it too difficult for,
The sheriff's office will have a database already established. They've
yeah.
had to establish one for all this. All you do is when you apply for it, we're gonna assign you this number. Now, when it comes in, you get that number. That's all it is.
yeah.
So I think what we're talking about is like, if we require me as a resident to have a license plate, but then I allow someone from out of the county to come down here and just put a sticker on it, I think we have two different standards. I think we should have one standard for everybody. If it's a sticker for everybody, I'm okay with that. I understand why law enforcement wants the number so they can call in and report it.
Mhm.
I get it. And that way there's some traceability. So that, I get it. But what do we want to do? We got to
And
make that
that's,
decision
and
here.
that's where Keen and I come from.
Right.
That's where,
Right.
that's what, that helps identify a little bit quicker.
Absolutely.
When you call dispatch and, and say dispatch, who's got, 1, 2, 3 number, and then we can just go right to that
That
address.
address and say, we
Right,
got a
but that's-
complaint.
How do you
That's
know
why
one-
I feel
how do
like
you-
it-
How do you know 1, 2, 3 is
Well, when
John
they-
Doe and it's not his
when
kid
they-
out there?
Well,
with
but
friends
it's
It
out?
wouldn't take much to put together an Excel document.
Right.
to-
Under even right now, if your son takes your truck out, gets in a jam, you're
Right,
responsible
but
for
what-
that vehicle.
What I'm saying is that I think we're doing it backwards if we were to allow it the way you guys are saying it with the sticker, because if I'm a resident and I live here all the time,
Mhm.
my neighbors are gonna know what my UTV looks like. If we give someone a sticker from out of town and they don't have a plate, chances are they're gonna be the ones who's doing something wrong because they're only here for a day. You're not gonna have a license plate on them. You're not gonna know who it is, and they're gonna be long gone. And then they're gonna come back and say, well, that was Casey on his. It looked just like his Ranger. Well, did it have a plate number? No. So I think if we're gonna do it for one, we have to do it for all. And especially the visitors coming in, I would want to be able to say, hey, that wasn't Casey, that was this, and here's how. So it's just my opinion. Like, if we're gonna do it for one person and require a plate, we should do it for all, or it should just be stickers. One
Well,
or the other.
just to kind of, we're beating this up here a little bit. How about, Charlie, would it be wrong to just throw out there, like, if somebody was to throw a motion that we're going to, for the registration purposes, to have a motion to have plates or not have plates, and or just have stickers? Would that be wrong? So we can move on?
We gotta do that.
No, I think that's important that you guys decide that, because that's going to affect what you guys are going to do, especially with vendors, because I don't think you want to have plates going all over the place.
So, I think just so we can continue to move on, otherwise we're just going to have this discussion, and I think we should have probably a roll call vote when we do this, but if someone can entertain a motion.
This is, what's motion?
I'll make a motion that we only require stickers for color-coded stickers each year. No plate.
I second that motion.
Okay. We've kind of had quite a bit of discussion on it, but now it's open for discussion, but my thoughts are, a plate is visible for law enforcement to enforce. And that's the only reason why I want a plate on it.
Right.
All right. Any more on that?
Before you go through the final vote there, Jack, I'm okay with a sticker as well. I think the other issue that I did talk about with out of state or out of county registrants, we talked about reciprocity. When we go up to Michigan or Wisconsin or Minnesota with our boats and whatnot, we don't have to get extra stickers. However, if you want somebody to come down here to enjoy riding around Lee County and going to the various restaurants and whatnot, maybe we should have you're going to have to develop a fee structure at some point in time with all this registration and permitting. How about an amended fee structure for those that are out of state or out of county? They get a sticker, yes, but they get a different color coded sticker, and they only pay a portion of the fee because they're only going to be down here for maybe a day or two, or maybe every other weekend or whatever it might be. They're not going to be riding around every single day. So get them a gold sticker, whatever the color you want to have so we know we can easily recognize an out of state, out of county registrant. So I'm okay with whatever you decide on. Plates, no plates, I don't care. Stickers for sure. We can develop a database. I can update that, almost weekly, make sure that the guys get it on their MDCs. So they're going to have at least some computer entry update on all these UTVs that are registered. I don't know if we're going to be able to capture all the out of state that that frequently, but we'll still get them on the database. But nonetheless, I would not charge them the full $100, those that are out of state, out of county. And I don't think they're going to ride here that frequently. Just my opinion.
I agree with what the sheriff said. In the sticker, I think we can make the sticker large enough. I mean, I'm not talking like a huge sticker, but if it was, 6 inches by 6 inches and it had a number and it was reflective, you'd still have the plate with the sticker. So I'm not saying a generic state of Illinois sticker that you can't know. If the sticker was 4 inches by 4 inches or 6 inches by 6 inches, it could have numbers on there. And I completely agree. We could have, you know, a different color number for residents and they pay a fee because they're using it year round, and an out of county resident could get a temporary one. If they wanted to buy the year long one, fine. If they wanted to buy the weekend pass or whatever you call it, we could offer 2 different options.
We just want them spending money in our county.
And we want it to be convenient for the
Yeah.
people. We don't want it to be,
We
we
don't
don't
want it
want
to
it to be a bureaucratic nightmare
No.
where we're trying to do it. Just
Thank
try
you.
to keep it as simple as we can, but we want traceability. So that way there's accountability.
I actually buy the annual non-resident pass for Wisconsin, just because it's cheap enough. It's only $35, and then I can go whenever I want. I don't have to worry about it. They
Sure.
do sell like 7-day, 3-day, but because of the cost of being $35, most people just pay for a year.
Sure.
So you're actually probably making more than
Okay.
by offering that.
I agree with that. If we're gonna have out of state foreign people, the same price, one price yearly, whether you come down here once a week or every day, it's all the same. Yeah,
It's good for a year. You can-
All right, the motion's
save a lot
out.
of paperwork.
All right, the motion's out there for not having a plate, just having a sticker. I think we can just do a voice vote, I think. So all those in favor of no plates, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Okay, it carried. So, all right, plates are out. So now we can get down and so we don't have to worry about plates anymore. So,
Hey, Jack, can I go back to something?
sure.
Wasn't able to talk, Danielle brought up a comment about driving on the state routes that may be going through our respective villages. Let's just take Amboy, for instance. 52 goes through Amboy.
Sure.
Charlie, I think you made the comment that they could ride on those state routes as long as our ordinance reflects that based on our new definition of Lee County's off-highway vehicles. Am I correct?
What I was saying is that they can operate on those roadways so long as that local municipality or township has an ordinance that allows as such, because there's a savings clause or a condition rather, under subsection D of the non-highway vehicles portion or the recreational vehicles portion that
Right.
allows for them to travel on those state highways.
Okay, but now we're going back to that section D that you just referenced, and that's the state law, correct? Current state law?
Correct, yes.
Well, we've got vehicles that don't fall under that current state law right now. And I hate to throw confusion into this, but that's why we're defining these vehicles differently, because they're not falling under that state law any longer. So my argument would be if they can drive on the state routes in those villages, they can drive on the state routes out of those villages, because that falls under my jurisdiction from an enforcement standpoint. Correct?
I'm not sure if I'm following you right, because I still don't think they're allowed to be on those because of that speed limit portion.
But they don't fall under that any longer.
Well, that's the
Under
issue.
this-
we've
under
come
this
up with
ordinance.
Well, I mean, that's the issue we've come up to begin with is that, so if you have a UTV that has has highway tires right now, no ordinance whatsoever, they don't fall under that definition. So you really don't have the ability to stop them or cite them because they're not violating the law because it is highway tires.
So they can drive on the state.
Because they're not
route.
violating the law.
Right. Well, don't we have that measurement that you threw in there?
Correct. So the definition that was in there before was 64 inches or less. That's
Right.
for the 11-1426.1. That's the definition for that. And then the measurement that's there now would be the 65 to, I think they've changed it now to 75 inches.
Right. So that that gets us away from the state law.
Correct.
So basically nothing, any restrictions in that current state law have nothing to do with the vehicles that we're talking about right now under this draft ordinance.
Correct.
So I guess my argument again is, can they drive on state highways under this draft ordinance with our new definition? Because the state highways would fall under my jurisdiction for enforcement. Not
Except that,
maintenance, but for enforcement.
except that there are, the highways that you're talking about, the state highways are maintained and regulated by the state. They're not the township roads or the county highways.
Exactly where I'm getting at. They're maintained also within the jurisdiction of the city of Amboy and Dixon and other villages. Right now, we have road work being done on Galena Avenue in Dixon and on Route 52 in Dixon by the state.
I don't think the Galena one was, but yeah, the 52.
But they're state highways.
Correct.
So I guess what I'm getting at is, are they allowed on state highways? If they are allowed on state highways inside those jurisdictions that are maintained by the state, they're going to be allowed on state highways outside of those jurisdictions.
But
Because we have
because
overlapping jurisdictions.
But because you have a state highway that's regulated by the state, you can't supersede the state law for the speed portion of it. Does that make sense?
Yeah, we could talk about this later. It doesn't make sense to me because we don't have a vehicle that fits the state law anymore with what we're talking about today.
Sure, yeah.
Yeah, and I just want to get that straight from the enforcement side. And the second thing I had, Keen brought it up, I think, was you guys are talking about eyeglasses. Great idea. You want to protect your eyes. If you don't have a windshield, good idea to have eyewear. How about the second seat passengers? If you don't have a windshield, I think they need to be protected as well. So absent a windshield, everybody in the vehicle has some type of eyewear. I mean, we've all seen these trucks go by with gravel and whatnot that are thrown at you. I would hate to have the kids or anybody in the back seat get smacked in the face or the eye with anything that might be coming through there. It's not dissimilar because we require actually passengers on motorcycles to have eyewear as well, not just the driver. So I'm just throwing that out for discussion and consistency.
We did require that the passenger, the front seat passenger to have eyewear, but we did not require the rear passengers.
Correct. That's what I'm just throwing out. I would just say all passengers should be required, absent a windshield, all passengers should be required to have eyewear, eye protection.
I'll make that motion to require all passengers, even on the second seat, to require
So are
safety
you
glasses.
sending the first one then?
We already voted on it, so I don't know if I mean, it's already approved, so
Amend it.
do I make a motion to amend it, or do I make an entirely new motion? Either way, however the right protocol is, I would like to do that.
It'd be a brand new motion, I think.
So I would like to make a motion to require all passengers in the vehicle that doesn't have a windshield to require safety glasses.
I'll second that.
Danielle seconded. Any more discussion on it? Okay, all's in favor of all passengers to wear eyewear? Say aye.
Without a
Aye.
windshield.
Without a windshield. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? All right, motion carried. All right,
We are gonna go back and address the windshield issue, correct?
now the windshield never got a second.
That's right, okay. All right. Right here.
We're at C. We're moving so well. So fun. Okay, C. Talking about the county approved stickers. Okay, and we're only doing
Jack.
plates.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Casey brought up a point, back to the sticker. We're gonna decide a size of that sticker, so we have a number on it.
Sure. Whatever works for them, right?
Right.
Do we need to determine the size of that sticker, or is that whoever's ordering it?
Can we get a sticker? I got a sticker at home that I could bring in and show you guys. And
Yeah, I think,
you don't want to obstruct their view in the rearview mirror with a sticker that's so big that they can't see either. And the rear the rear windows are not, it's gotta be in the lower right-hand corner where it's not obstructing the view.
Right.
And that's
Do all UTVs have rear windows?
95% of them. And then they also can put it on the rear portion of their fiberglass.
Bumpers?
Not on the bumper, but up on the.
Dump
where it's
box.
high
or-
enough where they can see it.
Okay.
Yeah.
So we need to indicate, where they're gonna put that. Some
Or-
vehicles I've seen, they don't necessarily have, back windshields or back windows. So we need to probably verify where to put that at. Okay. Do we need to define the size of the sticker at this point? Or you want to just table this?
Yeah.
Let's table the size of the sticker. He's gonna bring in one and a sample of it.
I don't think we need, I mean, let's not make it too cumbersome. Like if we get a sticker, the sheriff agrees that that's a good size and we order them, let's just keep it simple. You know what I'm saying? Like, as long as law enforcement's all right with the size that they are, so they have the accountability.
Right.
I don't think we need to say it in here.
Right,
I mean,
right.
we're gonna figure out
Make-
one that works,
make
order
it-
them and you go get an approved sticker.
Make it,
That's-
the sheriff's the one that's gonna go out and purchase these decals for him, whatever he wants to have, rather than us determining.
Right.
Is that fine with you, Sheriff?
Sorry, I was trying to get unmuted there. Yeah, whatever you decide. That's
Yeah. All right.
that's not an issue.
We'll leave it up to the sheriff to purchase the size stickers.
I didn't say that.
Well, that's what we're asking. So.
Yeah, I'll go ahead and get whatever we need.
All right, thank you,
Yeah.
Sheriff. All right. Okay.
Okay, so we've determined sticker. We don't necessarily need, but we don't know the vendor, but I'm guessing either one of these prices is gonna satisfy the cost of a sticker. So
Right.
do we want to, we said we would go back to A, once we knew what we were gonna do and discuss the annual permit fee.
Okay. So just make it, so you're suggesting to reduce it from 100 to 50? What you're saying, or 75?
Because it's not gonna change, you're just getting, it's not like the initial one is any different of a cost than the second one, right?
Well,
It's not now that we don't have a license.
I think probably the initial cost, you're gonna have to start a database. And then when you renew that, you don't have to add anything more to it. I know when I do some registration process at a part-time job I do. It's a lot easier when they renew that particular vehicle, it's already there. But when I have to add a new vehicle, there's a little more time and effort involved. So I think the initial one should be a little more expensive than the second one to offset it. Now, whether or not we lower it, from 100 to 75 or 100 to 50, and then make the renewal at 50. But that's just my thoughts on the initial one. So you want to address number A of subsection. Where? The cost? I lost that. 8, section 8.
And it's gonna be the same for visitors, like, do we have to call that out?
Okay, so number 8A, no person shall operate a motor vehicle. An annual permit shall be valid unless suspended from April 1st until March 31st of the year. The cost of the annual permit shall be $100. You want to reduce that? Is that your suggestion?
Yeah, I was just trying to be consistent with one permit fee for residents and one for non-residents yearly, but
Okay,
I know what you're saying about the cost of creating this database, but
so then, all right. And then we could maybe add a $25 fee for non-residents with an accompanied permit from another state. Is that what you're saying? Not.
I think what Jack's looking for is a motion of
I
some
know, I'm
sort.
trying to
on-
think
on
of
what
how
we
to-
wanna
Right,
do.
yes, I know, okay.
So can I ask a question real quick on the fee? If I understand where Danielle's going with this, but where can we get, if the sheriff's gonna have some type of database and what have you, and without having to add more time and effort for the sheriff to have people doing this, what would the sheriff, John, would you be comfortable putting a number out there that you feel is gonna have to, for you to do all this stuff is gonna be X amount of dollars, and what I don't want is just to be a burden where you come back and say, oh, I need another secretary to do all this, because that's just not gonna, it's, I guess what I'm saying is, I mean, even I got a question on the penalties. If the Lee County Sheriff's people pull someone over and they got a $400 fine, would that money just go back to the sheriff's department to help offset the cost of what he's got to do with this? So I don't want to hear about, we need more money, we need this, that, and everything. I mean, where's that money go? And what you would be able to feel comfortable, John, how much time you'd have to spend on this. I don't have an indication of how much it would take you to do this.
So you have a question for the sheriff,
Sure.
asking him, one, how much he wants the permit fee to be set
How
at?
much would it be to where we know that he's gonna, I mean, he's gonna have time involved in this.
Casey's laughing. I see it.
No,
Yeah, then we can say, the sheriff came up with a fee.
Determined the
I
fee.
didn't.
No.
That wasn't me.
It wasn't me.
Oh,
I'm just saying, we can't go back and say, well, we need more clerical help because of
Right.
this. What's it gonna take? The county really is not looking to make money. We're trying to make money off of the revenue that people are gonna spend money in these towns. That's what we want. But the fees, if someone does get pulled over, they don't have turn signals, rear view mirrors, whatever, does that money go back to the sheriff to help compensate for the cost of, I don't know where.
It would go back to the county. I mean, Charlie could probably, someone on finance could probably talk to it better than I am, but it's an ordinance violation. And when they pay it, it's going to go back to the county. That's the benefit of having it as be an ordinance violation rather than being like a moving.
So
fee.
the
It depends
ordinance-
how he writes the ticket.
So the ordinance
You're
violation.
talking about two different things. You're talking about the permit registration fees. And then also then you're talking about ordinance violations. So there's already, we've already created an ordinance for the fee structure for where those violations go. Some goes to a certain percentage goes to the county, a certain percentage goes to the sheriff's department, correct, Charlie? When you're talking about fines.
Correct. I think you're right there.
And there might be a certain portion that goes back to Charlie's office as well. I'd have to look at that, but we've already got that broken down. That's already in your county code book when you develop the ordinance, when we developed brand new ordinances about 3 years ago, or updated, I should say. So for the fee structure though, I mean, your registration portion of this, it's however you break that down. You guys are going to have to come up with a schedule of where these fees are going to go to. You've already talked about a certain portion to the vendors. Is there a certain portion that's going to go to the townships that are going to get on board with this full county UTV ordinance? I don't know. Is there a portion that's going to go to the villages and then a portion that goes to the county? As far as coming back to the sheriff's office, we're going to help make this work. No, I'm not going to ask for more personnel. It's a database. It's us pushing a database out to the guys. It's not going to be that big a deal. So
I was just
no.
trying to offset the cost of you having to spend time to do that with the fee structure. That's what I was getting at. Right.
No, we're not. Don't worry about us and the fee structure. If we get a portion of it, great. No, we're not going to hire new people because of this. This is not going to be that big a deal.
Right,
I'm hoping it goes like you want it to go. I really do. I mean, I hope we get a lot of people riding down here.
we're not going down that whole road of having to, certify the vehicles and do all that. So,
Right.
so that should reduce the amount of labor that's required from the sheriff's department. And if we have the vendors, if we do have vendors who sign up to do it, they're going to be collecting they're going to be doing a lot of clerical work that we would require. So I don't see it being, a labor increase on the sheriff's department too much, but.
I mean, but once the vendors turn in 100 things a month, someone at the county,
Right.
at the sheriff's department, is
Right.
going to have to enter those, or, like.
Into a database, right?
Database.
But what we need to talk about, just to kind of get back on track here, is it going to be $100, $50? Sorry, but We need to stay on track here. So we're gonna leave it at $100 for the first year and 50. And then we could probably add a special decal permit for out of towners for 25, different color. We can do that. So, I mean, this is where we're at right now.
If we, I mean, we don't want to keep it simple going, like, I think the more complexity you add to it, the harder it is. One sticker, I think is fine. And I think if everybody paid the same fee, if it was $50, I'd like them to just make the motion that says $50 a year, every year. You know, and it's
for visitors or
visitors, all included. If we want to come back in a year and change it and modify our ordinance, we can do that, but let's start simple and just make it $50.
All right, so you're making a motion for $50 for initial and renewal and which includes out of state.
Yep, it's one fee for everybody. It's one structure. Then the clerks won't have to worry about it. So the motion would be $50 a year and the renewal is $50, and it is what it is.
Similar to like the Illinois license plate, whatever you paid when you get your first plate, the
I'll second
renewal's the same.
Okay, and he's gonna second that. All right. Now, just to clarify this motion, are you including out of state or out of county?
I think it's a $50 fee regardless. Just
Okay.
easy, simple, $50.
All right.
50 to renew it. You can't even fill your gas tank for $50
And
anymore.
he,
Nope.
and he
Not even
seconded that
close.
motion. All right. Any more discussion on this so we can move on? All right. All those in favor of that motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Okay. Did you get that, Becky?
I did. Casey.
Yes, I vote. for
Charlie,
it.
you
In
got
favor.
that?
Aye.
Yep, I got it.
Okay, thank you. Okay, all right.
Jack,
Yes, sir.
well, okay, I hate to keep throwing this in, but if we don't talk about it now, the distribution and collection of the fees. I don't want to be a part of that. I'll do the database, we'll do the
Okay.
enforcement side, but when the vendor collects the fees or we collect the fees, where are they going to and how are they going to be distributed thereafter?
All right, now, Charlie, you were trying to work up some verbiage for like, for vendors that we want to put together. I believe we were talking about that earlier.
Yeah, let me share my screen real quick so that way you guys can see what I'm typing up.
All right. Jonathan, can you make that big too, by the way, for all of us? Yeah, I'm blind.
Okay.
Oh, I'm still gonna get bigger than that. Well, that's when these workbooks would come in handy.
Oh, you think?
Oh, can you make it bigger? On your screen?
Can you see it on my screen or not?
I can see your screen, but can you make it bigger? Can you zoom in on it?
Yeah, let me see here.
There it is, a little bit better. There you go.
Is that better?
A little better.
Can you? Okay. And you can see that last portion, the all vendors shall be required to. That was just me trying to add in the stuff that the sheriff was talking about with the fees.
Okay, and you have this listed as under D.
Correct. Yep.
Charlie, so when it says the approval or denial of the sticker, won't they already be issued at that point in time? Like if a vendor has,
The approval or denial is the authority to issue those stickers.
okay,
So who's approving that? Is it the board or?
This can be however you guys want to do it. The way I have it set up
Right.
right now is to be the Lee County Sheriff and Lee County Board Chairperson would approve the vendors.
Right, I think that works.
Okay. I don't think we need full board approval.
No, I
don't
think that works perfect.
That's simple.
I was looking for things to do.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, all right. So has everyone had an opportunity to see D, David, Charlie's,
And this is a work in progress. I still got to fix some things on here. I mean, if you guys want to have this total different of 10 permits at any given time, if you don't want it there at all, the fee portion of who that'll be directed to, if that's going to go to the treasurer's office, if that's going to go somewhere else.
I think your language here, as we wordsmith it and go with, I think I'm fine with it.
do we need to put in there like what the vendors would receive? Like a portion, what portion of that?
Or does finance do that?
Let finance handle
I don't know
that?
that. I'm asking, 'cause I've never done this.
I mean, it'd be a good idea, but I'm not sure what that would look like.
Right? We should probably throw that to finance. I mean, I like Danielle's idea too, that, I mean, I hate keep
$10
putting it
to
on
the
other
vendor,
committees. you
Yeah,
know.
I think we can just make that determination
make it
here
up,
and let's
okay.
make a decision and go with it. You know, I mean,
We said $50, right?
if it's 50
So,
bucks, can't we
50
just say
bucks?
that the vendor gets $10 for doing it? Be
Yeah.
done with it?
That's fair.
And the rest of the money comes back to the county and they give it to the treasurer's office and they collect it because they're the freaking treasurer.
You making a motion?
I'm okay with
Are
that.
you making
That's
a
my
motion?
motion.
You making a
I'm gonna
motion to
second
what?
that motion.
You're making a motion that the vendors would receive $10?
Right. And the other
the
40 gets,
processing?
they collect it and they deliver it to the, you know, or if they're gonna vendor, part of that needs to be that they bring that money to the treasurer's office and they account for it and then,
Okay,
but I don't, there's gonna be some mechanics we have to work through, so.
sure. So
So
you
if
have,
you're gonna do that, do you want to make it a $60 permit fee? That way the county's getting 50?
what's that?
I'm just asking the question. You don't care what you do.
No, it's,
Stickers are gonna be like $800 for 4,000. I mean, somebody got it.
It's really.
yeah.
It's very-
Okay.
The motion is that the vendor would get $10 and the rest of the money comes to the county.
Okay, so there's a motion for that. Second, any seconds?
I second.
Danielle seconds it. Any more discussion on this? So the motion is $5 of the 50 goes to the vendor,
$10.
or I'm sorry, $10. All those in favor, say aye. Aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carried. Becky, you got that? Okay. Okay.
Sorry, I'll start voting about it.
Are we almost done? Are we almost done with this thing yet?
But we still need to figure out how, like, I don't know if we want to do it in this meeting or not, because I think, you know, we've been here for a couple hours, but if the vendor gets the $10, fine, then they bring the $40 in and they bring all their paperwork. How do they get their paperwork to the sheriff's office? How do they get it to the treasurer's office? How does that work? I don't know that we're going to figure that out here, but I think we have to.
My suggestion, I think if they deliver the whole package to the treasurer, but the treasurer does not have anything to do with the paperwork, he just gets it and it's delivered or whatever to the sheriff's office. That way you don't have one part here and another part there. I don't know how the treasurer would accept this.
I think we have to look at, you know, and I'm not trying to make it cumbersome, but I think we need rules around, like, do they do it once a month at the beginning of the month? How do they get that database to the sheriff's department? There's some things that we have to work out on the execution side of it. So that way the standard's set that.
Is there, Charlie, we don't need to necessarily put that kind of stuff into the ordinance, but I think that we could, guidelines on how these vendors produce this, we could probably set up a instruction manual or something like that.
And I was trying to do that through that D paragraph, when it says the vendors may be approved through the application process standards outlined by the Lee County Sheriff's website. I was kind of hoping we'd get to that, you know, down the road to be able to show how that's supposed to work out, how you become a vendor, how you became, you know, that kind of process. Now,
Right.
I think it's something you guys need to be involved in, because otherwise we come down the road and it's going to be like, why did the sheriff and Charlie come up with this in this way without you guys knowing what those standards were going to be?
Okay.
So
They're just gonna have to wait. Oh, I'm kidding. I'm kidding. I'm
So
kidding.
I think we can address that after,
Yeah,
like, we can, the
Right.
execution portion of it, we can address through a
Right.
guidelines for the vendors or a standard for
Right.
the vendors or whatever. It doesn't have to be part of our ordinance.
True, true.
And
yeah.
if we decide, then it goes through our chair's office and then we give it to the treasurer's office and however that works. we can-
And down the road, hopefully a website, 'cause that'd be even better.
Right.
So let's get an ordinance.
Yeah.
So we
Right,
can
and then
actually
figure
do
out how
this.
to do it.
And then we can figure that little portion of, I mean, that's a big portion.
I'm hoping we can get this through here in the next, we're almost done. So we've got the fees, we got the, that part. I was on the right path here. Required. Okay, we're at violations part. Okay. All right, section 9, violations. Any changes made to A? Any changes making to B? All right, section 10. Any changes to section 10? And nothing there. So section 11, effective date, anything on that? Okay. All right, Charlie, we've gone through pretty much this on what we want to have. Is it possible for you to put together the changes that we made and make copies of it? And then we'd like to take it to the different townships in this draft, in this new draft here, and get their permission on what roads we can allow on UTVs on their roadways. Is there
I can, but it's gonna be, like I said before, it's gonna be like a work in progress on that vendor portion because we still don't know how that's gonna quite look.
right? Can you, well, for the purposes of kind of taking these to the townships and the municipalities, is there a way that you can like, make the looks of the ordinance kind of like italicized so that it's in work in progress? So that way we can take this to the different townships and say, hey, would you allow us based on this ordinance with some
Yeah, we
pending? And
Yeah, we
then,
can do that.
and then maybe put together, is it unreasonable to have like a form letter that these different townships and municipalities could sign off or give us a written permission that we can utilize our UTVs in their municipalities and on their townships? Just like a form letter of some sort, or should they draft their own letter?
I think they should probably draft their own, I guess it would be like a resolution, because
Okay.
they're gonna have to be the ones that are signing off saying that we will adopt this ordinance, so to speak.
All right.
And we didn't talk about that, it just made me think about it. So are we asking these townships to give up their own ordinances and adopt this one, or have theirs? Because then you talk about the fees, right? Is somebody in Amboy
Right.
gonna pay the Amboy permit fee plus the county permit fee? And maybe that's okay, but we should have it clear
Right.
as what.
One of the things I think that personally, like for instance, if Amboy, if I've got a Lee County permit, or let's say I live in Dixon, will my Dixon permit allow me to drive through Amboy, utilizing theirs? So I'm wondering if we should probably maybe add something onto our ordinance that allows that, In other words, my Dixon, UTV ordinance or my Dixon permit allows me to travel to Pawpaw, to Amboy, to use their, go within their ordinance. Is that something that we should probably add to our ordinance here?
I think that's something we're gonna have to approach each jurisdiction that has their own, if they'll accept
Right.
the county,
And that's one of the things we need to ask.
which I think is great. And once again, this was brought up before, that the fact is the Lee County ordinance will not supersede any other jurisdictions.
So we need to get permission from these different municipalities too, not only the townships, but we need to get to their municipalities that have UTV ordinances. Because like, for instance, maybe Nelson, they don't have a UTV ordinance. Maybe they don't want us driving in their town. So we need to get,
Right, so if we are gonna have a Lee County one, and the city of Dixon still requires theirs, then you'd have to have both.
that's one of the things we have to ask these different
And-
municipalities.
Yeah, I mean, that's the way it
So-
would be right now, right? Because we are only authority for the county roads.
So as a committee, I think when we get a copy of this working order, we go to the different township, commissioners and get their permission to get them to sign off on it. Then we also need to go to the different municipalities and get them to sign off on it as well.
Right, so I guess the incentive would be if that municipality now jumps on board with us
Mhm.
and they want this, and they have vendors in their municipality, they're gonna get $10 for doing the paperwork. The city of Dixon's not gonna have to maintain their database anymore because they could apply for our sticker and we could have one sticker that would be good anywhere in the county as long as they get on board with it.
Right.
But if they say, no, we want to keep ours because we want that revenue, then that's gonna be on them. And yes, the county, you're gonna have two then.
That's what I was asking. I just want
Right.
it to be clear so that people
Right, sure.
understand, right?
It might be that possibility.
Because we're going to the townships and we'll go to the municipalities to say, get on board with this. And either give up yours or keep yours. It's your decision, right?
Well,
That's what we're
I
saying.
would think if you live in Paw Paw, and you've got, you don't necessarily need a Lee County.
I
If
would
you
like
live
a
in
Lee
the,
County so I can go to
yeah,
Sublette,
you do live in Sublette.
Taunton, West Brooklyn,
Right.
but I pay $25 a year for Paw, which is fine. I'm just saying, I guess I want to know what our purpose of going to townships and the municipalities is, so that everybody's on the same page, right?
Well, the reason why we have to, because one law says we have to get permission from the townships and
Okay.
municipalities. So we have to get permission to operate on their roadways, not only the county roads, but also the township roads.
Charlie, is it possible to draft that resolution for the townships that would say we're in support of this? And that way we could do the legwork for them. So when I go to like the road commissioner, I can say, if you are to allow us to use the roads and follow our proposed ordinance, they don't have to have their own language for their own resolution. That would kind of be like, here, just adopt this. And is that something you could do, or is that something possible?
Yeah, we could do that.
I mean, that would help us to have the tool when we go to them and say, well, if you so choose and to allow UTVs in your townships, here's the resolution. You guys just bring it up at your next meeting, let us know, and you're on board.
Right. All right. So Charlie will get that to us and then I'll reach out to the committee to see what different townships we could go
So
to.
before we make a motion to adjourn, we have 7 minutes. We never talked about the Illinois Department of Transportation approved tires. We never voted on that.
Right.
We might want to circle back around on that and make that determination if that's something.
Yeah, Charlie was researching something.
I think you can remove it. The problem that I see with it is just that every time you take away something that's going to be different from what the state statute is, we're getting a little bit cute with how we're just trying to get around it.
I'm in favor of leaving it personally.
Well, with the IDOT tires?
Right.
Yes.
So unless
Okay.
there's a motion from somebody to remove it, then we can agree to keep it.
Just gonna be the fine that stays in there. It'll be another penalty if you don't have it.
Right.
Exactly.
All right, so we're revisiting the tire requirement in number G under section E. So are we good with G as of right now?
I guess, Sheriff, I mean, you're not gonna be out, it's not really, if somebody gets a moving violation, you pull them over and you're gonna check to see if they have the right tires, but you're not gonna be pulling people over to check for tires. That's safe to assume, right?
Yeah, that's safe to assume.
You got plenty of other things that you're worried about. So I think we should just leave it there and that's the expectation is you have them. And if you do
Exactly.
something that causes you to get pulled over and you don't have the right tires, expect to pay a penalty.
Right. So we're good with that? All right, I'll get with committees, find out which townships you guys would be able to visit. We'll try to split it up as much as we could. And go from there. Entertain motion. Entertain a motion to what?
Adjourn.
Adjourn? Who's going to second it?
Yeah.
Who's going to second that?
I'll second it.
Tom will second it. Okay, we're adjourned. Thank you, guys. Yeah, there's another meeting. Yeah. Well, I until we get the paperwork from Charlie, you know, and the townships, I think we've got some homework to do before we put together a new meeting, I believe. So,
Once we got everything done, we put together, post it.
right. So to be TBA is right now. Okay.